Last time around we made saltfish. That's not oily. So this time it's only right that we made chopup. Chopup is one of those things of personal taste, where 5 different people will give you 5 different ways of making it. Some people include stuff like papa, eggplant, butter, and celery, and some will even debate you on what the texture should be like. The one thing everyone agrees on is that it has to include spinach. The way I make it features 3 key ingredients: spinach, pumpkin, and okra. Or okra, whichever one works for you.
Start by removing the leaves of 3 bundles of spinach. You want to be on the lookout for dying leaves and worm-eaten leaves, and remove any bits of the flowers that you may find. Also look out for pieces of any other plants. With the leaves separated and in a bowl, give them a good and thorough washing. The reason I wash after separating the leaves is because it's less surface area to deal with, which means I can be a lot more thorough and I can find worms and other bugs like this. Since we're here already, we may as well give the okra a wash too. Now turning our attention to the pumpkin, just chop it up into smaller, more manageable pieces. I have about a little bit over a pound here. Put the pumpkin in a pot and cover it with water. And then we're going to put it on the stove and bring it to a boil. While that's happening, we're going to switch to the okra. All you have to do is cut the head and I guess the tail off, and the midsection you just cut that into smaller pieces. I think this was maybe about a pound of okra, so just do that for all of them and set it aside. Now we get to the spinach, and this is where my method deviates a bit. So stack a bunch of leaves on top of each other, fold them over, and just slice them down into smaller sections. The reason I do that is to cut down on the mashing I'd have to do later in order to preserve some texture. Not gonna lie, it's probably a lot more work, but it's worth it. Getting back to the pumpkin, it should be fork tender by now. Pour everything into a colander and drain the pumpkin completely. Now get the okra in a pot with just a little bit of water, as you can see here. I usually bring it to a boil until it gets like this, then add the spinach. It may look as if you don't have enough water, but trust me, you have more than enough. You only really need to cook it for maybe about 2 to 4 minutes, and as you can see, you definitely have more than enough water. I'm going to drain about half of this, and I guess it is a good time to point out that you should be only making this with drinkable water. Now combine the pumpkin, spinach and okra in a bowl and just mash it all together. Now we can start looking at adding some flavor. Add some salt, ground black pepper, onion powder, and some garlic powder. Now gently mash or mix that in, and your chop up is done.
We have our saltfish, we have our chop up. The only thing missing now is our ducana. Don't worry, I got you next time when we wrap up this series.